The champagne flute shattered against the rooftop floor, its crash slicing through the laughter like a guillotine. I stood frozen, my heart pounding as every eye at our engagement party turned toward me. Jasper Ellis, the fool who thought love could conquer all. My fiancé, Rafael Torres, stood at the center of the crowd, his broad shoulders squared, his voice sharp as he declared I wasn't alpha enough to stand by his side. The Manhattan skyline glittered behind him, a cruel backdrop to my unraveling. 200 guests, friends, colleagues, family, watched in stunned silence as Rafael, the man I'd built a life with for 3 years, tore me apart. Jasper's too soft, too emotional, he said, his words slurring slightly from the bourbon. I need a partner who can match me, not hold me back. I wanted to scream, to ask why he'd waited until this moment. Our engagement party, our supposed celebration of forever, to reveal this truth. But my throat tightened, and the weight of their stares pinned me in place. My best friend, Lila, a 32-year-old graphic designer with a fierce streak, pushed through the crowd, her heels clicking like war drums. Raphael, what the hell are you doing? She hissed, but he waved her off, his eyes locked on me, daring me to respond. What do you say when the person you love most dismantles you in front of everyone you know? How do you rebuild when the ground beneath you crumbles? I didn't know yet, but that night would set me on a path I never expected. One of heartbreak, self-discovery, and a love that felt truer than anything I'd lost. The party was my idea. 6 months ago, I'd proposed to Raphael under the cherry blossoms in Central Park, my hands shaking as I slid a titanium band onto his finger. He'd laughed, pulled me into his arms, and said yes, his deep voice promising a future I could already see. A brownstone in Brooklyn, late-night jazz records, maybe a dog. At 28, I'd spent my life chasing stability, first as a kid in foster care, then as a community organizer in Harlem. Raphael, 30, was my opposite. A corporate lawyer with a commanding presence, always the loudest in the room. His confidence drew me in. I thought it balanced my quieter strength. The rooftop venue, perched atop a sleek hotel in Chelsea, had cost us a fortune. I'd spent weeks planning every detail, the fairy lights, the live quartet, the catered menu with Raphael's favorite empanadas. I wanted it to be perfect, a night to show the world we were unstoppable. Instead, it became the stage for my humiliation. As Raphael's words hung in the air, I scanned the crowd. My foster sister, Amara, a 25-year-old barista with a knack for reading people, stood near the bar, her eyes wide with shock. My boss, Dr. Patel, a 50-year-old nonprofit director, frowned, his usual warmth replaced by concern. Even strangers, friends of Raphael's from his firm, shifted uncomfortably, their whispers buzzing like static. Lila grabbed my arm, pulling me toward the edge of the rooftop. Jasper, you don't have to stay here, she said, her voice low but urgent. Let's go. But I couldn't move. Not yet. I needed to understand why Raphael, the man who'd kissed me goodnight every evening, who'd planned our future down to the color of our kitchen tiles, had chosen this moment to break me. Why now? I managed, my voice barely above a whisper. He stepped closer, his dark eyes glinting under the string lights. Because I'm done pretending, he said. You're not what I need, Jasper. You never were. The words hit like a fist. I stumbled back, my chest tight, and Lila caught me. You're enough, she whispered fiercely. Don't let him define you. The next morning, I woke up on Lila's couch in her tiny East Village apartment, the city's hum filtering through the window. My suit from the party lay crumpled on the floor, a reminder of the night I wanted to erase. Lila sat across from me, her laptop open, her curly hair tied back. You're not going back to him, she said, not a question but a command. I don't know what to do, I admitted. My phone buzzed with unread messages. Apologies from guests. A curt, "We need to talk," from Raphael. I ignored them all. Lila leaned forward, her eyes blazing. You start by remembering who you are. You're Jasper Ellis, the guy who organized a citywide youth program at 25, who survived a system that tried to break you. Raphael doesn't get to rewrite that. Her words stirred something in me, a flicker of the fire I'd felt before Raphael's betrayal. But doubt lingered. Had I been too soft, too trusting? Was there truth in his words? That afternoon, I wandered to a coffee shop in the West Village, needing air, needing space. The barista, a 29-year-old trans man named Theo with a warm smile and a sleeve of tattoos, took my order. "Rough day?" he asked, sliding my latte across the counter. I laughed, a hollow sound. "Rough life." He tilted his head, his green eyes curious. "Wanna talk about it?" I'm a great listener. I didn't. Not yet. But something about Theo's easy kindness, the way he leaned against the counter like he had all the time in the world, made me pause. Could a stranger see me more clearly than the man I'd loved? What did it mean to start over when everything you'd built was gone? The coffee shop became my refuge over the next week. Tucked between a bookstore and a vintage shop, it was a small, cozy space with mismatched chairs and the scent of roasted beans. Theo worked most mornings, and his presence, steady, unassuming, felt like a lifeline. I'd sit at a corner table, pretending to work on my laptop, but really, I was untangling the mess of my heart. What does it mean to rebuild after someone tears you down? How do you trust again when love has burned you? Each day, Theo's small gestures, a free refill, a quick joke, chipped away at my walls. One rainy morning, he slid into the chair across from me during his break. "You're here a lot," he said, his voice gentle but direct. "What's the story, Jasper?" I hesitated. Telling him meant reliving the party, Raphael's words, the pity in everyone's eyes. But Theo's gaze was steady, no judgment, just curiosity. So I told him, haltingly at first, then all at once. The proposal, the planning, the rooftop, the betrayal. He listened, his fingers tracing the edge of his coffee mug, his expression softening with every word. "That's rough," he said when I finished. "But you're still here. That's not nothing." His words were simple, but they landed like a spark. Was I still here, really? Or was I just drifting, waiting for the pain to fade? That evening, I met Amara at a diner in Harlem. Her shift had just ended, and she still wore her barista apron, her braids pulled into a high bun. "You look like hell," she said, sliding a plate of fries toward me. "Thanks," I muttered, but her bluntness was a comfort. Amara had been with me through foster homes, through late-night talks about surviving. She knew me better than anyone. "Raphael's been calling me," she said, her voice tight. "Says he wants to explain." "What do you want me to tell him?" "Nothing," I said too quickly. The truth was I didn't know. Part of me wanted to hear his explanation, to understand why he'd shattered us. Another part wanted to never see him again. Amara leaned forward, her eyes searching mine. "You don't owe him anything, Jasper, but you owe yourself a chance to move on. What does that look like for you?" Her question lingered as I walked home through the rain-soaked streets. Moving on sounded simple, but it felt like climbing a mountain. What did I want my life to be without Raphael? Who was I outside of his shadow? The next day, I returned to the coffee shop. Theo was behind the counter, juggling orders with a quiet efficiency. When he saw me, he grinned. "Back for more punishment?" he teased, nodding at my usual latte. "Something like that," I said, managing a smile. He leaned closer, lowering his voice. "There's an open mic night here tomorrow. You should come. Maybe even read something." You look like you've got stories to tell. The idea terrified me. Sharing my pain with strangers? Letting them see the raw edges of my heart? But Theo's invitation felt like a challenge, a chance to reclaim a piece of myself. Could I find my voice again? What would it mean to stand up and be seen, not as Raphael's fiancé, but as Jasper? I spent that night writing. Words poured out. Anger, hurt, hope, scribbled in a notebook I hadn't touched since college. By morning, I had a poem, rough but honest, about love that cuts and love that heals. At the open mic, the coffee shop was packed, fairy lights casting a warm glow. Theo emceed, his energy lighting up the room. When my turn came, my hands shook, but I stepped to the mic. The poem spilled out, my voice steadying with each line. I spoke of Raphael's betrayal, of feeling small, but also of the spark inside me that refused to die. The crowd listened, some nodding, some wiping tears. When I finished, Theo clapped loudest, his eyes shining with pride. Afterward, he found me at the bar. That was brave, he said. You're stronger than you think. His words felt like a gift, but they also raised a question. Was I strong enough to let someone new in? Could I trust again? Or was my heart too broken to try? Weeks passed, and the coffee shop became my anchor. Theo and I fell into an easy rhythm. Conversations over coffee, shared laughs, moments of quiet understanding. He told me about his life. Growing up in Queens, coming out as trans at 20, building a community through art and music. His resilience, his unapologetic authenticity, stirred something in me. But every time I felt a spark, guilt followed. Was I moving too fast? Could I trust my heart after Raphael? One evening, Theo invited me to a gallery opening in Soho, where his paintings were on display. The gallery was a sleek, white-walled space, filled with artists and hipsters sipping wine. Theo's work, bold abstracts in blues and golds, felt like an extension of him, vibrant, layered, unafraid. You're good, I said, standing before a canvas that seemed to pulse with emotion. He shrugged, a shy smile breaking through. It's just me, spilled onto paint. His honesty disarmed me. What would it mean to be that open, to let someone see all of me? I wanted to try, but fear held me back. Raphael's words still echoed. Too soft, too emotional. As we left the gallery, walking through Soho's cobblestone streets, Theo stopped under a street lamp. You're quiet tonight, he said. What's going on in that head of yours? I took a breath, the night air cool against my skin. I'm scared, I admitted, of feeling something again, of getting hurt. Theo nodded, his eyes steady. That's real, but you can't live in that fear forever. What do you want, Jasper? Not what Raphael wanted for you. What do you want? His question hit like a wave. I wanted to be seen, to be enough, to love without losing myself. But could I trust Theo with that? Could I trust myself? The next day, Raphael texted again. Meet me. We need closure. Against my better judgment, I agreed. We met at a quiet park in Brooklyn, the same place where I'd proposed. He looked tired, his usual confidence dimmed, his blazer wrinkled. I messed up, he said, his voice low. I was drunk, stressed from work. I didn't mean it. His apology felt like a lifeline, but also a trap. You said I wasn't enough, I said, my voice shaking. In front of everyone. Why? He ran a hand through his hair, avoiding my eyes. I felt trapped. The engagement, the expectations. I panicked. His words stung, but they also clarified something. Raphael's betrayal wasn't about me. It was about his own fears. But that didn't erase the pain. You broke us, I said, and I'm trying to figure out who I am without you. He reached for my hand, but I pulled back. I'm sorry, he whispered. I walked away, my heart heavy but lighter too. Closure wasn't about forgiving him, it was about letting go. But letting go of Raphael meant facing the unknown. Could I build something new with Theo? Was I ready to risk my heart again? Fall settled over New York, the leaves turning gold, the air crisp. I threw myself into work, leading a new youth mentorship program in Harlem. It felt good to focus on others, to help kids like the one I'd been. Lost, searching for a place to belong. But Theo was never far from my thoughts. We started spending more time together, late-night walks, pizza runs, quiet moments in the coffee shop after closing. He shared his dreams of opening his own art studio, and I told him about my hopes of expanding the youth program citywide. Our conversations felt like building something, brick by brick. One night, at a jazz club in Greenwich Village, Theo reached for my hand under the table. The music was soft, the room dim, and his touch sent a jolt through me. "I like this," he said, his voice barely audible over the saxophone. "I like us." My heart raced. I liked us too, but fear lingered. What if I wasn't ready? What if I wasn't enough? Again. "Jasper," he said, his eyes locking with mine. "You don't have to be perfect. Just be you." His words cracked something open in me. For the first time, I felt seen. Not as Raphael's partner, not as the guy who'd been humiliated, but as Jasper, flaws and all. Could this be what love was supposed to feel like? Not a performance, but a partnership? Lila noticed the change. Over brunch in Chelsea, she grinned, poking at her pancakes. "You're glowing, Jasper. Spill." I told her about Theo, about the gallery, the jazz club, the way he made me feel like I could breathe again. She listened, her eyes softening. "He sounds good for you," she said. "But are you letting yourself feel it? Or are you still holding back?" Her question lingered. I was holding back, afraid of repeating the past. But Theo wasn't Raphael. He didn't demand I change. He celebrated who I was. That night, I invited Theo to my apartment. We cooked dinner, badly, laughing as the pasta boiled over. As we sat on my couch, the city lights sparkling outside, I took a risk. "I'm falling for you," I said, my voice trembling. "But I'm scared." He smiled, his hand finding mine. "I'm scared too, but I'm here. We can figure it out together." His words felt like a promise, one I wanted to believe. But could I let go of the past enough to embrace this future? Was I ready to love again? Fully? Fearlessly? Winter arrived, blanketing Manhattan in snow. Theo and I grew closer, our lives intertwining like the city's streets. We spent Christmas at a shelter, serving meals with my youth program kids, Theo painting murals with them on the walls. His laughter, his warmth, made every moment brighter. But Raphael lingered like a shadow. He'd emailed, asking to meet one last time. Against Lila's advice, I agreed, needing to close that chapter for good. We met at a cafe in Midtown, the air thick with tension. "I miss you," he said, his eyes searching mine. "I was wrong, Jasper. I want to try again." His words stirred old wounds, but they didn't hold the power they once did. "I loved you," I said, my voice steady. "But I deserve someone who sees me, who doesn't need me to be someone else." He nodded, his face falling. "I hope you find that." As I left, the weight of him lifted. I wasn't the man I'd been at the engagement party, broken, unsure. I was Jasper, whole and enough. That spring, Theo and I stood on the Brooklyn Bridge at sunset, the city glowing below. He'd planned a surprise date, just the two of us, a picnic basket in hand. As we leaned against the railing, he turned to me, his eyes bright. "I love you," he said, simple and sure. "Not because you're perfect, but because you're you." My heart swelled. For the first time, I wasn't afraid. "I love you too," I said, and meant it. We kissed, the city humming around us, and I felt a truth settle in my bones. Love wasn't about being enough for someone else. It was about being enough for yourself and finding someone who saw that too. What does it mean to heal from betrayal? It's not about erasing the pain, but building something stronger in its place. Theo and I weren't perfect, but we were real. And in that moment, on that bridge, I knew I'd found a love worth fighting for. One that didn't demand I change, but lifted me up exactly as I was.